Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of RC Classic Garage. Today, we're back on the Alfa Romeo 1750 GTV, the same car that we dragged out of a barn where it had been sitting for almost 40 years. And we're bringing it back to life right here on the channel. In the last episode, we hit a huge milestone because the metalwork is finally finished. We then took out the suspension and started prepping under the car so that we could Raptor line. Now, honestly, that felt like a huge step forward. But today is all about momentum because we will continue seam sealing and prepping under the car, spraying it in Raptor or bed liner, and then hopefully start fitting the suspension. Now, this car is booked in with Painting Classic Cars for exterior painting. And I've agreed with Keith that we'll be spraying the boot, the interior of the car, the engine bay, and underneath the car myself. Now, there's 2 months to go. A lot of work to be done, not a lot of time. So let's get cracking. Now, at this point, the interior and the boot are already painted. So before we can even think about spraying underneath the car, we need to protect all of the exterior panels. The very last thing you want is bed liner overspray on fresh metal or on panels that are about to head off for paint. So the first job is masking everything up properly. Wings, sills, outer panels, basically anything that isn't getting under seal. Once everything is protected, we can move on to seam sealing. Every factory seam underneath the car, around the wheel arches, along the floor pans gets sealed. This step is absolutely critical if you want the car to last long term. Water finds its way into the smallest gaps, and this is exactly where these cars tend to rot from the inside out. So with the seam sealer done, it's then on to undercoat, making sure everywhere we want bed liner is properly prepped and protected. This includes the entire underside of the car, the wheel arches, and also the bottom section of the engine bay, which will be painted in bed liner as well. And now we get to one of the proper magic moments of any restoration. It's time to start spraying the bed liner. We're using Raptor liner for this, and it's been tinted in Ochre Yellow, AR109, which is the original color of the car. This stuff is incredibly tough, hard wearing, and perfect for protecting the underside while still looking factory correct. Now, Raptor is a 2-part system, so you mix the liner with the hardener, give it a really good shake, and then simply attach the spray gun and get to work. It's one of those products that's very forgiving, but the key is to getting an even, consistent finish. Paul starts right at the back of the car and works his way forward, slowly building up coverage underneath, through the wheel arches and right into the back section, right through to the engine bay. Watching this go on is incredibly satisfying, especially when you think about what this underside looked like when we dragged this car out of the barn. As the liner goes on, everything just transforms. All the prep work, the seam sealing, the hours of cleaning and masking. This is where it finally pays off. The finish has a lovely satin texture. Not too rough, not too smooth, and it looks absolutely spot on for a car like this. What I really love is how it ties everything together. It seals the metal, protects it from stone chips and moisture, and at the same time gives the underneath a clean, uniform look that still feels period correct. Now, this is one of those moments where the car stops looking like a project and starts looking like a car again. With the underside now protected and finished, we can start getting the suspension back in. Well, at least the rear. So I get to stripping the rear suspension. It's actually a really nice job because everything was ice blasted right at the start of the project, so there's no oil, grime, or loose rust to fight with. The plan here is to strip everything back to the shell ready for paint, but I'm leaving the side shafts in place as the bearings are still in good condition. There's no point disturbing parts that don't need replacing. So off comes the T-bar, the calipers, brake discs, and the handbrake assembly. Everything that doesn't need to be on the suspension for painting. With the suspension stripped back to just the casing, I can start prepping all the components for paint. This means wire wheeling everything, the arms, the T-bar and the side shaft casing, just to get them clean and ready. It's the same process on every part. Grind back any surface rust, clean everything thoroughly, and then onto paint. Now I've decided not to powder coat any of this. I've had parts lost before, and not everything always comes back, which is frustrating on a restoration like this. All of my cars have been restored using this method with great results, so I'm sticking with what I know works. I'm using Hammerite, satin black, which I know some people will have opinions about, but I've always had really good results with it. I put 3 coats on in total, 2 brushed on really well to work the paint into the metal, followed by a final coat with a spray can to even everything out and get a really nice finish that I'm happy with. I use this method and paint on my AC Cobra, and that's lasted over 25 years and still looks really good. So for me, it's proven, tough, and absolutely fit for purpose. Next, I had the upgraded bushes from the Veloce Sport suspension kit fitted and pressed in. It's not a big job, but it's one of those things that's much easier with the right tools. So quick shout out to the guys at Sapir Motors in Woking, who always help me out with these little jobs. It's great having local specialists you can rely on, especially on a project like this. With everything prepped and painted, it's finally time to start fitting the Veloce Sport Fast Road suspension kit. I start with the straps, but instead of using the screws the original car came with, I've decided to fit proper bolts. It's a small upgrade, and hopefully someone will thank me in years to come. Once the straps are fitted, it's time for the new Koni shocks and Fast Road springs. But before that, we need to refit the bottom trailing arms. I'll start by fitting the left side first. Now you can see how the Hammerite paint looks, clean and finished. I'm really happy with the satin finish. Now one thing my father always drilled into me is never be a dry fitter. So every thread I put back on the car gets either a bit of grease or copper ease. It might sound tedious, but this little bit of care makes assembly smoother and stops parts from seizing up over time. And then I move on to the right side, taking my time to make sure everything lines up nicely. Now it's all about building the car properly, doing the job once and doing it right. Because seeing these new suspension components go back on freshly painted parts is really satisfying. The car starts looking like it's coming back to life. And it's a reminder of why I love doing this sort of work. Next up, the new Koni shocks go on, complete with fresh rubbers to make everything sit properly and work smoothly. Then it's time for the Fast Road suspension springs. Again, a new top rubber and seat to ensure everything is correctly located and cushioned. Once the springs and shocks are in place, it's just a case of connecting everything back to the trailing arm and checking that it all moves freely. With the right side completed, it's exactly the same process on the left. Now, step by step, we can see the suspension coming back together. With the trailing arms and rear shocks in place, it's time to lift the differential and T-bar back into the car. This is the bare diff and T-bar, and it's definitely one of the trickier bits of the rear suspension to get right. Getting it into position isn't straightforward, especially when you're doing it on your own. I use a combination of 3 jacks and 4 axle stands to carefully lift and guide the diff into place. It's slower going and you have to take your time. I actually find it easier to service a diff when it's in the car, replacing the pinion seals, assembling the brake pipes, handbrake cables and brakes. It gives you the angles you need instead of wrestling the entire thing on the floor. Once it's finally in, I connect the diff to the trailing arms and bolt it securely. Then it's onto the T-bar, which gets attached to the side of the car with 3 bolts. Once the diff and T-bar are in place, it's time to connect the rear straps. I start by jacking up the trailing arm and then line the straps up and bolt it together using the new bolts. It's a straightforward process, but taking your time ensures everything is aligned correctly. Once the right side is done, I repeat the same process on the left. Step by step, the rear suspension is starting to come together. Next up, it's onto the brake discs. For this build, I've gone with a complete new brake kit. That means new discs, new calipers, and new brake pipes. Everything fresh and ready to go. I'll start with the rear discs beginning on the left side. And it's a simple process. Fit the disc and secure it with 2 screws. Now, one thing that really stands out at this stage is how good it's starting to look. The silver of the new discs really pops against the satin black of the differential, and the red Koni shocks, and the ochre yellow bodywork of the car. All these colors together make the rear end of this Alfa look properly finished, even before we've put on the calipers and lines. Once the left side is done, I move over to the right and repeat exactly the same procedure. Pretty straightforward, but it's all about taking your time and getting it right. Now I know some of you may be thinking, should I have fitted the brakes and suspension after painting the car? Well, a couple of reasons I'm doing it now. First, I wanted a rolling body, so I could move it around safely and check everything. And second, the guys at Painting Classic Cars will bag up the suspension and brake components, making sure there's no overspray when the exterior paint goes on. Now I'm really happy with the way this is looking. One thing you'll notice is that the Veloce Sport fast road suspension is designed with an anti-roll bar delete at the rear and a much stiffer one in the front. That's something we'll delve into in a future episode. Now the one thing that's missing are the wheels. I'm actually happy with these original 14-inch wheels, and there's a good chance I'll run a set of GTA replicas on this car in the future. But for now, I've decided to get the originals powder coated, just so that we have an option to alternate them later on. So I've dropped them off at Primo Alloy in Napiel, left them for about a week, and came back, and they're looking really good. So to summarize, we've painted the boot, we've painted the interior, and now we've painted the whole underside of the car. And we've put the rear suspension in enough to make it a rolling chassis. Now I know that I still need to service the diff, put new oil, new seals, put all the brake lines into the back, as well as the calipers and handbrake assembly. It's the beginning of January now, and this car is booked in for painting at Painting Classic Cars on the 16th of February. So we have exactly 6 weeks to get the engine bay painted, and that's a lot of filler, prep and painting. And after that we move on to the front suspension, and very similar to the rear, we've got to strip all of the components and get them painted up, and then we'll be fitting the Veloce Sport fast road suspension kit. And the front is where it will really make a difference, because we have upgraded anti-roll bar, upgraded springs, upgraded bushes, as well as Koni shocks and adjustable arms. So guys, we'll call that an episode, but I want to thank each and every one of you for the support on the channel. Your support has been tremendous. Your comments are really encouraging. I read every one of them and I try to respond. I also want to wish all of you a very happy 2026, and I hope you have a great new year. Guys, thanks again for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and see you all next time. Ciao.